Here is an interesting endgame position that I consider as worthy of viewing. And here, white's pawns are on these dark squares, which inhibit this thing. But we have a swap off right away. We have rook f8, bishop f8. So now we enter into a bishop and bishop endgame with 7 pawns each. This pawn is a little bit weak, but how do I get to it? I would have to play c4 and d5, where black's actually letting me play those moves. And then I would be able to wriggle my king around here to somewhere along the line and win the c pawn. Okay, so that these pawns here are weak, but they've also got strength to them. They've also got strength. I can't move here with my king, or here with my king, or here with my king, or here with my king. So these have got strengths to them. So I could play this sort of thing if I get away with it, and blah blah blah, and then h4 or something like that, and whop this. But then after bishop takes, king takes, then we have the runaway e pawn, you see. So those are sort of things. So if I get my king up to here, I can play h4, pawn takes, king here, and king takes, or king here and king here, taking this. So they're just schemes that I've got for white to how to win this. But white has actually got, like I said at the start, these pawns all on this pawn chain on the same colour square as my bishop. So moving on, a3, yet another one. It looks like I'm actually not listening to what I say. b5, and this prevents my long-awaited move, desirability move, c4 from occurring. So I have to bring my king, and I think my opponent helps me rather by this. Now I can get c4 check in after a4. So here it comes here. This is what I played. I played b3, okay, and I'm fixing up my pawns. Now I got a4, offering a pawn swap, which looks like I'm offering a pawn swap. And so black plays ba4, and now I play the move I've wanted to play all these years, is c4 check. The move in between capturing the a4 pawn, king c6 and ba4. Now we have a better position for white. However, it still requires work. Bishop b4, g4. Now I'm starting to behave myself a little bit by bringing you endgames, which will help my endgames as well. h3, king c6. Now you might say, well, where are you going to go from here? Well, I can trade places with this bishop and this king so that my king is on here and the bishop somewhere else. So that's one idea I've got, which is king here and maybe even king here and king here, and or bishop there. Want to swap this thing off because there's no targets for black in white's camp really, except for this d4 pawn, or pushing this e4 pawn to e3. So there's no real targets for black now in this position. Black is always having to be careful of moving lamely the king to b6, as d5 is a discovered check with the bishop. And even if bishop c5 after that, check, then white can merely take here, and upon bishop c5 takes e3, nothing else, e7, and white queens. even though it's not the most superb example, it's still possible. Bishop e1. So black is looking around for a place to stay. King c2, bishop g3, bishop g1. Bishop f4, king d1, bishop f4. White is getting hassled by black, not going to have a bar of it. Black does not want to have a bar of it. Now, what's going to happen here that the king has refused this square e3, and if I move here, then white can probably be met with just moves like backwards in here. But that's the thing. White can be met with those sorts of moves. So if I move my bishop to e3, then it's black's turn. And if black departs from this square, then I'm going to have... Am I? No, I'm not. I'm probably going to take this bishop off, and then I'm going to play d5. No, I'm not. It's not very good. I'm not sure about that. So I probably want to wriggle here and even to here and threaten this pawn here. And then play my bishop here. Once the king defends it, play my bishop here. And then push d5 and cd5, and then I'm away. Whereas black is just looking on. See, the bishop here is defending this pawn on here. If I've got my bishop here, it's defending e5. So once the king moves away, which it might not, it might be that the bishop moves here. If it does, then I can go king e3 and gobble that pawn. If the bishop goes this way, it might invite a possible exchange. But I think that if this pawn is being protected by the king here, okay, then I can just play d5. And black is really just onlooker in that position, in my opinion. So so once the king's on here and my bishop's here, upon d5, the king's here, defending the a5 pawn. I've got this pawn move here, and even, what was I going to say? Even if the king goes here, after e5, cd5, king goes to here, then e6 is very hard to meet. Is that right? No, it's not. e6. King, this is a pawn gone here. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, I've got to be careful still. I have to be respectful. Bishop e3. Now I'm trying to get my opponent to make a mistake, but bishop f4, and it looks like I'm repeating moves. I might have even wanted to draw. I don't think so. h4. That helped me somewhat. And that definitely helps me. Very, very important as endgame.